In the winter of 1959, in the heart of the Ural Mountains, 9 experienced Soviet hikers embarked on an expedition that should have been challenging but manageable. Instead, it became one of the most perplexing and chilling mysteries of the 20th century. What happened to them on the slopes of a mountain now ominously known as Dead Mountain has baffled investigators and researchers for over 60 years. This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident. Our story begins in late January 1959. Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old radio engineering student, led a group of 8 men and women, most of them fellow students from the Ural Polytechnical Institute. They were all-season skiers and hikers, aiming to achieve the highest sports certification in the Soviet Union by trekking across the northern Urals. The route was designated Category 3, the most difficult. They were prepared for the brutal conditions, equipped with skis, warm clothing, and a determination forged by their love of the outdoors. The 10th member of the group, Yuri was forced to turn back early in the expedition due to severe back and leg pain. It was a decision that would save his life, but also haunt him forever. He bid his friends farewell, never imagining he would be the last person to see them alive. The remaining 9 continued their journey, documenting their progress with cameras and diaries. The photos they took show a group full of life and optimism, smiling, joking, and braving the harsh, beautiful landscape. Their diary entries detail the daily rigors of the trek, noting the weather conditions and the kilometers they covered. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. On February 1st, they began their ascent of Kholat Syakhl, which translates from the local Mansi language as Dead Mountain. A blizzard moved in, with strong winds and plummeting visibility, forcing them off their intended path. They decided to make camp on the exposed mountain slope, a strange decision for experienced hikers who would normally seek shelter in the tree line below. It was their last camp. Dyatlov had arranged to send a telegram back to their sports club by February 12th. When that date came and went with no word, no one was immediately concerned. Delays were common on such difficult expeditions. But as the days turned into weeks, a sense of dread began to grow. On February 20th, a volunteer search party was dispatched. What they found on February 26th was a scene of utter chaos and confusion. The tent, half buried in snow, was empty. More disturbingly, it had been sliced open from the inside. Inside, the hikers' belonging, shoes, warm clothes, supplies were all neatly arranged, left behind as if in a great hurry. But where were the hikers? The search party followed a set of footprints leading away from the tent down the slope towards the forest. The tracks were made by people who were barefoot or wearing only socks in temperatures well below freezing. The footprints were orderly at first, suggesting the group left together, walking calmly, not running in panic. But why would they abandon the safety of their tent, underdressed, in the middle of a freezing Siberian night? The first 2 bodies were discovered about a mile away, under a large cedar tree at the edge of the forest. Yuri Krivonoshenko and Yuri Doroshenko were found next to the remains of a small fire. They were dressed only in their underwear. The branches on the cedar tree above them were broken up to a height of 5 meters, suggesting someone had tried to climb it, perhaps to get a better view or escape from something on the ground. 3 more bodies were found a few hundred meters away, between the cedar tree and the camp. Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, and Rustem Slobodin seemed to have been trying to return to the tent. They were more clothed than the first 2, but still inadequately dressed for the conditions. The positions of their bodies suggested they died of hypothermia while crawling back up the slope. For 2 long months, the search continued for the remaining 4 hikers. Finally, in May, as the snow began to melt, their bodies were discovered in a ravine buried under 4 meters of snow, about 75 meters from the cedar tree. These 4, Lyudmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolevatov, Nikolai Thibobrignol, and Semyon Zolotaryov were better dressed than the others, some even wearing clothes that had been taken from their deceased friends. But the nature of their injuries was shocking and inexplicable. The Bobrig Knoll had suffered a major skull fracture. Dubinina and Zolotaryev had multiple broken ribs, injuries described by a medical expert as being consistent with the force of a car crash. Yet, there were no external signs of a struggle, no soft tissue damage. Even more bizarrely, Dubinina was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lip. Zolotaryev was missing his eyeballs. The official investigation was concluded swiftly in May 1959. The verdict was that the hikers had died as a result of a compelling natural force they were unable to overcome. The case was then closed and classified, its files sent to a secret archive. This vague conclusion and the secrecy surrounding it only fueled speculation. How could a natural force cause such specific, brutal internal injuries without leaving external marks? Why would 9 experienced hikers cut their way out of their tent and venture into the deadly cold without proper clothing? Over the decades, dozens of theories have emerged, each trying to make sense of the nonsensical. The simplest explanation is a natural event. One of the most popular theories is that a slab avalanche forced them from the tent. Fearing being buried alive, they cut their way out and fled to the tree line for safety. Once there, some succumbed to hypothermia, while the 4 in the ravine fell in and sustained their crushing injuries. This theory, however, doesn't fully explain why they didn't just dig the tent out, or why they walked, not ran, from the site. And why make camp on a slope prone to avalanches in the first place? In 2021, Swiss scientists proposed a new model for a small, delayed slab avalanche, suggesting it could have happened on a low-angle slope and given the hikers just enough time to flee, but it remains a contentious idea. Another set of theories involves military involvement. The area was known for secret Soviet weapons testing. Could the hikers have accidentally witnessed something they shouldn't have? Perhaps a parachute mine test, which creates a powerful concussive blast that could cause the internal injuries without external signs. This might explain why they fled the tent and why some of their clothes were found to have traces of radiation, although the levels were low. The missing tongues and eyes, scavenger animals, could be the simple, grim explanation. But it doesn't explain the government's secrecy. Was it a cover-up to hide a military accident? Then there are the more fringe, paranormal explanations. The local Mansi people have legends about the area being home to powerful spirits and strange creatures. Some theorists point to lights and glowing spheres reportedly seen in the sky around the time of the incident by other witnesses miles away. This has led to speculation about UFOs and encounters with extraterrestrial beings. Could the hikers have been attacked by a creature not of this world? Or perhaps a terrestrial one, like a Yeti? While exciting, these ideas lack any concrete evidence and rely on pure conjecture. There's also the infrasound theory. This proposes that a specific wind condition around the mountain, known as a Kármán vortex street, could have produced a low-frequency sound just below the range of human hearing. Infrasound is known to cause feelings of intense panic, dread, and nausea, which could have driven the hikers into an irrational frenzy, making them flee their tent. This could explain their bizarre behavior, but not the severe internal injuries of the last for victims. In 2019, Russian authorities reopened the case, but their conclusion was underwhelming. They officially declared that an avalanche was the most likely cause, dismissing all other theories. But for many, this explanation still leaves too many questions unanswered. Why were the injuries so specific and violent? What caused the radiation on their clothes? Why the official secrecy for so many years? The Dyatlov Pass Incident is a perfect storm of strange clues, missing information, and baffling decisions. It's a puzzle where every potential solution creates new problems. What we are left with is a haunting human tragedy. 9 young lives, full of promise and adventure, cut short on a desolate mountainside. Their final hours remain a terrifying enigma. Were they victims of a freak natural event, a secret military experiment, or something else entirely? Perhaps the truth is buried forever under the snows of Dead Mountain, a silent testament to the terrifying power of the unknown. The story of the Dyatlov Pass hikers endures, not just as a mystery, but as a chilling reminder that sometimes there are no easy answers. Thanks for watching. If you're fascinated by unsolved mysteries like this one, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. What do you think happened on that fateful night? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Stay curious and stay safe.